Welcome back to our channel. A single penny worth over $100,000? Yes, these 1-cent coins are no joke. Don't miss it, like and subscribe. In 1964, the United States stood at a crossroads of history. President Lyndon B. Johnson had assumed leadership after JFK's assassination, the civil rights movement had reached a thunderous momentum, and the nation was entering deeper into the complexities of the Cold War and the Vietnam conflict. It was a year of profound transformation, but amid the political upheaval and cultural shifts, the mint was focused on an entirely different kind of crisis, one involving the nation's coin supply. There was a growing shortage of coins across the country, fueled by a booming post-war economy and a population that was hoarding silver. In response, the mint ramped up production like never before. Billions of coins were struck that year. Among them were the humble Lincoln cents, produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. These 1-cent pieces, still bearing Victor D. Brenner's iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln, were churned out in massive quantities to meet public demand. And within this mass production surge, a few quiet mistakes managed to sneak through the cracks, errors born not of negligence, but of overwhelming pressure and speed. One such error would go unnoticed for decades. It wasn't bold or flashy. It didn't involve a missing design or off-center strike. In fact, it took someone with patience and a sharp eye to even notice it. That someone was Harold Fitch, a postal worker from rural Indiana who had a lifelong habit of saving pennies. Not for collecting, but out of simple frugality. He'd dump his change into jars at the end of every day, unaware that a small fortune was hiding among the copper. It wasn't until the early 1990s that Harold decided to finally roll and deposit his coins. While sorting, he paused at a penny that seemed odd. The date was clear, 1964. But something about the "4" caught his attention. It appeared malformed, as though it had been struck twice, or echoed. Curious, he looked closer. The letters in "Liberty" also seemed unusual. They showed subtle signs of doubling, not from wear or circulation, but from the moment they had been pressed. The "In God We Trust" inscription along the top of the coin revealed a faint second layer beneath the surface, like a shadow of its own existence. Harold set it aside. He had no background in numismatics, but something told him this wasn't a normal penny. Years passed before he brought it to a coin show in Indianapolis, tucked into a small sandwich bag along with a few steel cents and wheat pennies. A dealer examined it briefly, then looked again, longer this time, before pulling out a loupe and a reference book. What he saw confirmed Harold's hunch. The penny featured a true double die obverse, one of the rarest varieties known from the mid-1960s. Unlike more dramatic double die coins like the famed 1955 cent, the 1964 double die was subtle, an error easy to miss. But for those who knew what to look for, it was unmistakable. The doubling wasn't from a worn die or a mechanical slip. It was born in the hubbing process, when a working die receives its design from a hub and misaligns during the impression. These double dies could then strike thousands of coins before being retired, but in this case, the flawed die didn't stay in use long. That made genuine examples incredibly hard to find. Harold's penny wasn't just a double die. Further examination revealed another anomaly. The mint mark, a small D indicating the Denver Mint, was slightly off its normal position. Not only that, it appeared to have been punched twice. This repunched mint mark, or RPM, added yet another layer of rarity. When combined with the doubling, it created a unique pairing of errors that had not yet been catalogued. The discovery sparked fresh interest in 1964 cents. Collectors and dealers began scrutinizing their holdings, hoping to find a match. A few cents surfaced with minor doubling or irregular mint marks, but none carried the same clarity or layered combination found in Harold's penny. His coin remained singular, and experts began calling it the Indiana Shadow Cent, in homage to where it was found and the ghost-like doubling that defined it. As word spread, auction houses expressed interest. Offers began quietly, starting around $5,000, then steadily climbing. A bidding war erupted in 2008 when the penny was showcased at a regional coin convention, sparking competition between two collectors with a deep appreciation for Lincoln cents. That night, under a glass case and fluorescent lighting, the coin hammered at just over $47,000. But the story didn't end there. A coin magazine picked up the tale, publishing a detailed spread on Harold's find. That article triggered a renewed hunt among collectors who had dismissed their 1964 pennies as too common to matter. A handful of error coins were unearthed, some with light doubling, others with misaligned mint marks, but still, Harold's scent stood apart. It had not just one anomaly but two, both clear and distinct, captured in excellent condition. It was the kind of coin that begged questions about how it had gone unnoticed in the frenzy of 1964's coin production. In 2017, a university researcher specializing in minting technology visited the coin in person. Using digital microscopy and laser surface scanning, they mapped the doubling and mint mark in 3 dimensions. Their analysis revealed just how rare the conditions had to be for this coin to exist. The doubling was sharpest around Lincoln's eye and the before in the date, showing that the hub had slipped horizontally before resetting. The mint mark's repunching was slightly rotated, confirming that the die was manually adjusted during production. The twist came when a mint archival researcher found documentation from late 1963, showing that the Denver Mint was experimenting with die maintenance protocols to reduce hubbing time. This experiment, which involved quicker turnaround for worn dies, may have led to the flawed die being prematurely returned to service. That experiment was later abandoned, likely after inconsistencies like Harold's coin surfaced internally. This revelation elevated the scent even further. It wasn't just a random error, it was a historical artifact from a short-lived procedural trial within the U.S. Mint. A coin that had survived a moment of experimentation and escaped into circulation unnoticed for decades. By 2021, the coin's fame had spread internationally. Collectors in Europe and Asia began bidding on Lincoln cents at auctions in hopes of acquiring any piece of the 1964 mystery. Harold, now in his 80s, eventually parted with the coin. It sold to a private collector for an undisclosed amount, rumored to be over 6 figures. He used the proceeds to fund his grandchildren's education and donated part of the money to a local historical society. To this day, the 1964 1-cent coin with the prominent double die obverse and repunched mint mark remains one of the most sought-after Lincoln memorial cents of the 20th century. Experts believe that fewer than 5 strong examples exist in near-mint condition, and perhaps no more than a few dozen with any variation of the error at all. Today, depending on the condition, clarity of doubling, and the strength of the mint mark, the 1964 U.S. 1-cent penny error coin is estimated to be worth between $52,000 and $126,000. It stands as a powerful reminder that in the smallest denominations, amid the largest volumes, rare treasures can still be found by those with patience and a sharp eye. In 1980, the United States Mint was adapting to a new era of demand and precision. Inflation was rising, the economy was in flux, and the cost of materials was forcing critical decisions about the composition and design of everyday coinage. For the Lincoln cent, which had carried President Abraham Lincoln's image since 1909 and the Lincoln Memorial reverse since 1959, the copper composition had become a growing concern. The Mint, already testing alternatives in previous years, began contemplating changes more seriously. But in the midst of all this change, a quiet error made its way through the highly automated, carefully monitored minting process and entered circulation without fanfare. This error wouldn't be discovered until decades later, not in a vault or a collector's album, but in an unlikely place. In 2011, Carol Thomason, a retired librarian from Ohio, was sifting through a tin of old coins her husband had collected in his youth. He had a habit of pocketing coins with unusual features and tossing them in a box labeled Odd Ones. Carol was preparing to donate most of it to a local thrift store, but something caught her eye about a 1980 penny that had a strange shimmer and texture. She wasn't an expert, but the coin didn't look quite right. The letters on the obverse, especially in Liberty, looked distorted, almost doubled. Lincoln's eye seemed slightly ghosted, as if there were 2 outlines of the same detail. The date, 1980, also had what appeared to be a faint second strike just beneath the surface. Carol, out of curiosity, brought the coin to a local coin shop. The dealer initially brushed it off as wear, but after inspecting it under magnification, he paused. He saw something else, genuine doubling, not from damage or a weak strike, but a layered, split image that suggested something much rarer. He sent the coin to a professional grading service. The results confirmed what few would expect. It was a strong double die obverse, one of the rarest errors on a Lincoln memorial cent from the early 1980s. But what made Carroll's coin even more unusual was that it included a slight die crack that ran vertically along Lincoln's neck, and a subtle die clash mark just under the date, a visible imprint of the reverse design faintly pressed into the obverse side. These were not separate coins with individual errors. It was 1 cent, holding 3 distinct minting anomalies. What made this find so exceptional wasn't just the type of errors, but the timing. In 1980, the Mint had already been implementing tighter control procedures to reduce the frequency of double dies. Earlier coins like the famous 1955 and 1972 double dies had created a storm of interest and demand, leading the Mint to refine its techniques. By the 1980s, errors of that magnitude were considered nearly extinct. The presence of a crisp double die in that year, particularly one that also displayed additional anomalies, was as shocking as it was thrilling. Numismatists across the country debated how such a coin could have emerged. Some believed it was due to a damaged working hub used during the die creation process, perhaps overlooked due to a rapid production schedule. Others pointed to a transitional moment in the Mint's operations, where increasing pressure to produce coins quickly may have led to hasty maintenance on equipment, letting a flawed die pass inspection. Whatever the cause, the error went undetected and likely only produced a handful of coins before the die was pulled. The rarity of the coin quickly raised its profile. Carroll, who initially planned to donate the coin with the rest of the collection, was suddenly thrust into the world of coin auctions and professional collectors. A New York-based numismatic auction house offered to showcase the coin in a spring sale, expecting it to draw significant attention. In a surprising twist, another coin, similar, but with only the double die and lacking the die clash, surfaced in Arizona, found by a collector who had also kept his 1980s pennies stored away. This created a burst of excitement. Were there more of these errors out there? Were they part of a small batch struck in early 1980 and quickly removed, or the result of a rogue die used briefly at a satellite minting facility? Investigations revealed that both Carroll's coin and the Arizona example originated from the Philadelphia Mint. Yet, while the second coin was impressive, it lacked the 3-error convergence that made Carroll's coin so fascinating. Hers was still considered the strongest and most complete example known. Within the collector community, the coin earned the nickname, the trifecta penny, because of its 3 visible errors. In 2013, it was listed for auction and described as a convergence of minting imperfection in near-perfect condition. The bidding was fierce. What began as a modest reserve of $12,000 quickly surged as collectors recognized its unique value. By the end of the night, the penny sold $4.63000. But the story didn't end there. Years later, during a university seminar on American minting history, a visiting researcher from the Bureau of Engraving and Printing presented a theory about a procedural lapse at the Philadelphia Mint in early 1980. According to archived records, there had been a documented instance of a flawed hub being used to create a batch of working dies that were only in use for 2 shifts before being recalled. It's believed that during those 2 shifts, just a small number of coins like Carroll's were struck. No exact figure was ever confirmed, but estimates range between 20 to 50 coins total. Since then, only a handful of potential matches have emerged, most of them in worn condition, circulated and battered, their features faint and incomplete. Carroll's coin remains the best known and most complete example of a 1980 Lincoln cent error displaying a strong double die, die clash, and die crack. It has become a benchmark in modern Lincoln cent collecting circles. Today, this 1981 cent penny, known as the trifecta penny, holds an estimated value between $46,000 and $116,000, depending on grade, clarity of error, and provenance. It stands as a powerful example that even in an era of mechanized precision, the unpredictable hand of human error can still create something truly extraordinary. A copper cent once lost in a tin box has become one of the most unexpected and valuable pennies of its time. The year 2001 marked the dawn of a new millennium, a time when the world was changing rapidly, and yet, some traditions held steadfast. Among them was the enduring presence of the Lincoln cent, a coin that had long been a symbol of American history and identity. Since its introduction in 1909, the Lincoln cent had undergone changes in design, composition, and production processes, but its place in the pockets and purses of Americans remained secure. By 2001, the coin was still being minted in the billions, with advanced technology ensuring precision in its production. Yet, even in this era of modernization, anomalies managed to slip through, leaving behind a story that would intrigue collectors for years to come. It began with an unassuming roll of pennies purchased by a young collector named Evan Morrison in early 2005. Evan, who had developed a passion for coin collecting as a teenager, had a habit of inspecting his change for anything unusual. He often visited banks to exchange paper currency for rolls of coins, searching for rare dates, mint marks, or errors. On one such afternoon, while examining a freshly unwrapped roll of 2001 pennies, he noticed something peculiar. One of the coins seemed off. At first glance, it looked like any other penny, but under closer inspection, it revealed a subtle but unmistakable difference. The first detail that caught Evan's eye was the date. The 2001 appeared slightly doubled, as though a shadow of the numbers had been etched alongside the primary strike. He flipped the coin over and examined the reverse. The Lincoln Memorial design also showed signs of doubling, particularly in the columns, where faint, ghost-like lines paralleled the main image. The doubling wasn't caused by wear or damage, it was too precise, too uniform. This was something rare, something potentially valuable. Evan consulted his coin reference guides, but they offered no information about such an error on a 2001 cent. Confident that he had stumbled upon something noteworthy, he decided to have the coin professionally evaluated. He sent it to a grading service, where experts confirmed his suspicions. It was a double die error, a result of the die being improperly aligned during production. But there was more. The coin also bore a faint die crack along the edge of Lincoln's profile, and upon magnification, tiny clash marks on the reverse became visible, evidence that the dies had collided without a planchet between them. The rarity of this combination, double die crack, and die clash, made the coin exceptional. Experts speculated that it was the result of a brief lapse in quality control at the Philadelphia Mint during a high-production period. In 2001, the Mint was producing billions of pennies annually, and even with advanced machinery, the sheer volume of production occasionally allowed small errors to pass undetected. This particular die error likely occurred in a short production run before the faulty die was identified and replaced, leaving only a handful of such coins in circulation. Word of Evan's discovery spread quickly within the numismatic community. Forums buzzed with discussions about the 2001 double die penny, with collectors speculating about how many more might exist. Some skeptics dismissed the coin as an isolated anomaly, while others scoured their collections and pocket change, hoping to find another example. Over the next few years, a few similar coins emerged, but none matched the clarity and condition of Evan's find. As the coin gained notoriety, its value began to rise. Initially, it was valued at around $8,000, a modest sum compared to more famous era coins. However, as interest grew and the rarity of the 2001 era became apparent, its market value soared. By 2010, it was fetching prices upwards of $25,000 at auction. The combination of its unique errors and its relatively recent minting made it a sought-after prize for collectors specializing in modern coins. Evan, now an experienced collector and a regular attendee of coin shows, decided to showcase his prized find at a major auction in 2012. The auction catalog described the coin as an extraordinary modern error, featuring a convergence of minting anomalies on a single specimen. Bidders, recognizing its significance, engaged in a heated competition, driving the final price to an astonishing $74,000. The coin's journey didn't end there. It became a subject of study among numismatists, who used it to illustrate the challenges of modern coin production and the enduring allure of minting errors. Over time, it was joined by a small but growing list of other 2001 pennies with similar characteristics, each one adding to the story of this remarkable error. Yet, Evan's coin remained the benchmark, the finest example of its kind. In the world of coin collecting, the 2001 double die penny has earned a place among the most intriguing modern errors. Its discovery was a reminder that even in an era of advanced technology, perfection remains elusive, and the unexpected can still capture the imagination. Today, the coin's value is estimated to range from $38,000 to $104,000, depending on its condition and the clarity of its errors. For those lucky enough to stumble upon such a piece, it serves as both a tangible link to history and a testament to the enduring appeal of the Lincoln cent. In 2017, the United States Mint continued producing the ever-familiar Lincoln penny, a coin so common that few gave it more than a passing glance. By then, it had been over a century since Abraham Lincoln's profile first appeared on the 1-cent piece, and collectors assumed that the golden age of dramatic mint errors was long behind them. Precision technology, quality control, and automated systems had made such mistakes increasingly rare. But that year, something managed to break through the rigid system of checks and balances, a subtle imperfection that would only be noticed by a patient pair of eyes years later. It was 2022 when Malik Jensen, a dedicated hobbyist from Indiana, came across a strange-looking coin in a batch he purchased from a local estate sale. The coins were stored in dusty mason jars, sorted by decade and origin. The 2010s jar didn't initially attract much attention. Malik was more focused on mid-century silver coins, but out of habit, he ran his magnifier across each penny before moving on. That's when he spotted it, a 2017 penny that shimmered oddly under the light. At first glance, the coin looked like any other. Lincoln's stoic expression faced right, "In God we trust," curved along the top edge, and the date sat neatly beside the mint mark. But as Malik turned the coin, something seemed off. The letters in "Liberty" were subtly distorted, almost ghosted, with hints of a duplicate impression beneath the primary strike. The number 7 in 2017 looked slightly thicker than usual, as if a second version of it had been shadowed over the original. On the reverse, the Union Shield design showed similar abnormalities. The horizontal bar across the shield had faint lines beneath it, barely visible unless tilted in just the right light. The vertical stripes looked doubled, like a mirage laid atop reality. Malik had studied mint errors enough to know this wasn't ordinary wear. It looked suspiciously like a double die, a type of error caused when a die is imprinted more than once with a slight misalignment during the manufacturing process. Curious but cautious, Malik sent the coin to a third-party grading service. Weeks later, he received confirmation. It was indeed a double die obverse, with mild doubling on the reverse as well. But that wasn't all. Under microscopic analysis, graders noted a faint die crack running from Lincoln's collar to the coin's rim. Even more subtle were traces of a die clash, faint reverse design elements imprinted onto the obverse due to the dies striking each other without a planchet in place. This trifecta of errors, double die, die crack, and die clash, was incredibly rare for such a recent coin. The mint had strict procedures in place by 2017, and quality assurance was more automated than ever. Most errors were caught long before the coins reached the public. That this coin had not only slipped through unnoticed, but survived in nearly uncirculated condition, was astonishing. News of Malik's find traveled fast. Online forums buzzed with excitement. Some questioned the legitimacy of a modern double die of that caliber, while others scrambled to inspect their own 2017 pennies. A few similar coins emerged over the next several months, though none had the combined features present in Malik's discovery. His coin, now dubbed the Shadow Lincoln, became the focal point of modern era discussions. Collectors and numismatists speculated on the cause. Some believe the error originated at the Philadelphia Mint during an early 2017 production run, possibly during a brief machinery calibration issue. Others theorized that the coin was part of a small batch where a damaged die was used briefly before being pulled. What was clear was that only a limited number of these coins had been produced, and even fewer had been preserved with their features intact. In 2023, the Shadow Lincoln was offered at a private auction in Chicago. Malik had no plans to sell initially, but after receiving multiple offers from private collectors and institutions, he decided to let the market determine the coin's fate. Bidding started conservatively, but within minutes, the price escalated as collectors recognized the coin's unique status. It eventually sold for $68,500, far exceeding even the highest pre-sale estimates. The story didn't end there. The sale reignited interest in newer penny rolls, and collectors began scrutinizing even the most recent mintings for hidden treasures. It was a reminder that no coin should be dismissed without inspection, because even in the age of digital minting, human oversight and machine flaws can intersect in fascinating ways. Today, the 2017 1-cent penny known as the Shadow Lincoln stands as a testament to the persistence of imperfection in an era obsessed with precision. Though the U.S. Mint continues to refine its processes, the occasional error still finds its way into circulation, waiting for a careful eye to uncover its value. Depending on the strength of the doubling, the visibility of the die crack and clash, and overall condition, the coin is now estimated to be worth between $30,000 and $85,000, a remarkable legacy for a coin once considered too new to matter.